to bring up our guest.
So come on up, Kyle Sanders.
Let me get him his Superman cape.
Is there like a fake applause when I come onto the stage?
Okay.
All right. So,
There's
I
your
get,
mic. There's your soup's cape.
yep,
It's
you need your
super.
Superman
The
cape.
Superman cape.
Not allowed to be a guest without it.
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
All right.
Wonderful.
Well,
Is that how it goes? All right.
hello, Kyle Sanders. Welcome to Nerd Necessities Network. Since you are on a nerdy show, first off, tell us about your nerd card. What makes you nerdy?
My nerd cred.
Mm-hmm.
I do take issue with the nerd and nerd cred. I'm more of a science geek.
Oh,
All right, that's more of a social designation. I geek out about all things science and science fiction. Nerd is more of your expertise, right? So I am a space engineering nerd. That's what I studied in college. So if any of you have heard of Kerbal Space Program,
Oh, yeah.
I will nerd out on some Kerbal Space Program. But I geek out about most of the other things.
Okay.
awesome.
Fair enough. So, do you want to tell us about your comic? It's called Carbon Comics, right?
Oh,
Or Carbon
I
Dating
did bring
Comics?
a copy that is now sitting somewhere not here.
So
yes.
I guess while we're waiting for that, can you tell us what it is and how it got started?
Yeah, so it's a comic strip, kind of like you would see in a newspaper, except for it's online and in a few science magazines. I try to blend science topics. Oh, we're tossing it on stage. Yes! There we go. Boom. There's the camera shot there. But yeah, we talk about half about sciencey topics and pseudoscience, or things that sound like science but aren't. For example, would be anything on an infomercial, or anything, I should say, half of what Dr. Oz says. But then the rest I use some kind of character humor to just explore some different topics like that.
Awesome. How long have you been drawing cartoons?
Oh, for a long time. I really got started kind of in college. There was a satirical website that kind of made fun of life at my university. So I got started there and people liked it. So then I kind of created some more comic strips as a hobby, and it grew into something I do by night. This is my side gig.
So I assume you had some drawing background before that. So what got you interested in drawing in the first place?
I have actually never taken a class. I just got some books from the store, like how to draw comics, and I just kind of practiced alone in my basement. But yeah, it's one of those things that just was fun and not really something I thought I would ever do. And then I figured, why not do it? So
Where did you learn to develop your abilities to tell stories in a humorous way?
I think humor comes as a defense mechanism for many geeks, right? No, I think humor's a great way to teach, as well as just, for comedy purposes. So I've always tried to use it, just because science can get a little bit dry, a little bit boring, depending on the teacher that you have, but I always like the funniest teachers the best. So I don't know, I think comedy's the way to go 90% of the time.
So in addition to your comic, you host the Super Science Mashup up in Colorado Springs. So can you explain to us a little bit what that is and how you use humor hosting that?
Absolutely. So Super Science Mashup is a program of the Colorado Springs Science Center. Colorado Springs does not have a museum, and we're trying to build one here in about a year or two. So I'm volunteering to help with the program. Our goal is to talk about science, but through pop culture. So for example, talk about the chemistry of Breaking Bad, or the real paleontology of Jurassic Park, which was last month. Things like that. We've also talked about some genetic modification, some alternative health stuff. And then coming up on Tuesday, if you guys want to drive down, it's about an hour south of here, we're going to be talking about crime scene investigation.
Ooh.
We have a detective, a toxicologist, a MD who does autopsies, and an actual crime scene investigator. So
Wow.
That sounds super
it's
cool.
not all what you see on TV, right? There is some real science
Yeah.
that doesn't look quite the same. So,
Were you always interested in science? Do you use it in your everyday life, do you think?
oh yes, I am an expert at 5th grade algebra and critical thinking, because I'm a pilot by day. That's what I do for fun. So I am doing math, algebra in my head like every minute while I'm in the air. It's just one of those things you have to be good at. So things like weather, geography, I already said algebra, but some engineering mechanics, some thermodynamics, things like that kind of play into what I do every day. So I'm not a scientist, but I apply science kind of as a user, if you will.
Who do you fly for?
Well, I fly for the Air Force. I've actually was formerly a combat pilot. Now I'm an instructor pilot, so I kind of teach people like yourselves who have never touched an airplane how to fly, and that is terrifying. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. But some of these things that you think you're never going to use in your life, like algebra, all the time.
So could you get me like able to learn how to fly so I could fly one of those flying cars from earlier?
Oh yeah, actually I think I saw one today at one of the airports I was at. At least they had a trailer that said the world's only flying car, and I was like, not anymore. Right?
Well, there
not
you
after
go.
this show.
Well, cool.
Oh, we're taking cues.
Like,
Yeah.
could you think you could drive a James Bond car? Would you be able
Ooh.
to teach us how to drive one of
Or
those?
I
chitty chitty
think
bang
so.
bang.
I think so. So what's funny is that it's a car, but you actually have to have a pilot's license to do
Yeah.
it. So here's the secret that a lot of people in high school don't know, is there is no age limit to get a pilot's license. There's no age limit whatsoever. You guys can go take a couple lessons, come see me, and we'll go fly. And you guys could just right now take one off, fly around Pikes Peak.
Let's do it.
Might take you up on that.
Yeah, it takes
Yeah.
about 20 flights or so to get to that point where like you know what you're doing. A little bit more complicated than a car. But yeah, no age limit.
Neat.
Yeah, I think Amelia Earhart started when she was a teenager.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, but
Why
I don't
not?
want to get lost flying over the ocean.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least in Colorado you have some big mountains that make it really easy to tell which direction's west.
Yeah.
So.
I think I always wanted to be a pilot, so I think that'd be pretty awesome. Have you
Yes.
was that something you've always wanted to do? or-
Oh, yeah. I mean, I went to college and it was one of like the options was either, you know, join the military doing a desk job or you can fly planes. And I was like, obviously, I'm going to take the coolest job. So that's why having a good background in science really helps because you never know what opportunities might pop up where that really comes in handy. So it happened to be something that I was good at and I really enjoyed doing it. And that kind of led to talking about science. I had a fourth grade friend of mine who did me for a show and tell, right? So I came to his class and started talking about here's how an airplane works. And that was really fun. So now I do Super Science Mashup
Cool.
just because it's fun.
So obviously you fly real planes, but I see you've got the
Yes.
Millennium Falcon on your shirt.
Yes,
You couldn't
this
fly
is
that,
what
would
I
you?
want to fly someday. That's what that is. So I'm an aviation nerd, right? But I geek out on some Star Wars. If you guys did Star Wars trivia,
Star Wars
it
trivia.
would have been no contest.
Have you ever been to the Star Wars Day at the Air and Space Museum?
Every day
Yeah.
is a Star Wars
I mean,
day.
it's true.
I'm just, come on. But yeah.
The X-Wing.
Yeah, no, I love Star Wars. Really looking forward to the new movie. Yeah, very exciting stuff. And also, Denver Comic Con. You guys mentioned San Diego, but just a few months ago, we had Denver Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hosted a panel about the real science and sci-fi.
That's super cool.
So I had a lot of fun talking about that. But also, they had a ton of Star Wars stuff going on.
Well, cool. We've
Yes.
enjoyed hearing about your flying, but
Yeah.
we brought you here to talk to us about some other kinds of science. So would you be
Sure.
willing to maybe talk us through a science demonstration?
Oh yes, we're going to talk about why a little bit of science knowledge goes a very long way. And we're going to talk about